So it has just been announced a few minutes ago that it will become mandatory for all frontline NHS staff to have had 2 COVID vaccinations by April of 2022. So if you currently work for the NHS on the front line, and I don't have full details as to exactly who that's going to incorporate thus far, if you work on the front line for the NHS, you will be required to have 2 vaccinations by April in order to keep your job. Now, what I'm talking about here isn't about whether or not it's a good idea to have the vaccination, whether the vaccination's a good thing, whether it's safe, anything like that. That does not come into this conversation as far as I'm concerned. For full clarity, I have had both vaccinations. My wife has had 2 vaccinations and she works for the NHS and she has had a booster jab as well. So I'm not here to say don't get vaccinated. I'm not here to say do get vaccinated. What I'm here to say is it should always, and it is imperative, that this remains a matter of personal choice. We should not set a precedent by mandating vaccinations as a condition of employment for a government agency, a government organisation, or indeed any form of employment. This is setting a very, very dangerous precedent where we can tell people, the government can tell people that they have to have something injected into their bodies in order to keep their form of employment, to keep their job, and that they will lose their job if they refuse this vaccination. And there are several reasons why people might refuse a vaccination. You know, we talk a lot about scepticism or anti-vaxxers or people who just aren't sure about the safety of having a vaccination. And this is, in many instances, a perfectly legitimate concern. And vaccine hesitancy is high amongst what they call the BAME communities, the Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities. And I don't know how many of you have been to a hospital or a GP surgery recently, but from my observation, certainly when I've been, it is people from these communities who are often staffing the front line at hospitals. We have a very high percentage, proportion to population, of Black and Asian nurses in the NHS. And these are the people who are most likely to be sceptical about getting this vaccine. So we're basically telling these people that they have to go against either their own scepticism or concerns, maybe in some instances go against their religious beliefs, and have this substance, this chemical, this vaccination injected into their bodies. Otherwise they're going to lose their jobs by April next year. Now this makes me very, very uncomfortable. This makes me more uncomfortable than the idea of vaccine passports. And like I say, I've had the vaccine because I made the decision myself that I thought that was a good thing to do. But if you're a young Black Asian nurse who doesn't think they need the vaccine because they're in a very, very low risk group because of their age, maybe they're perfectly healthy, have no underlying conditions, maybe they have religious objections. I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to insult anyone by getting it wrong, but I do believe that certain religious or ethnic groups do have religious objections to vaccinations. Or if you don't want to have it for any reason, purely because you're hesitant or maybe you're absolutely petrified of needles, you have that choice and you should retain that choice. And I'm not only concerned about a precedent being set, I'm also concerned about the fallout from this. And it'll be interesting to see if the government decide to make one of its trademark U-turns once the full effect of the public backlash to this announcement becomes widely known, because I don't think this is going to go down particularly well. But we shall wait and see. Take care everyone, stay safe and sane.